BeastNet is brought to you by James Safety Services in partnership with OCR Buddy and OCR Strong. Here we discuss all things OCR and fitness related. Welcome to BeastNet.
Hey everybody, it's Mike with BeastNet, and today I got with me Marla. Marla, let the listeners know a little bit of who you are.
Well, I live in Arizona, a beautiful state, and I'm 78, and I love my life. I love my lifestyle, and I'm an avid obstacle course racer. So I don't let age deter me. Age is just a number.
It is just a number. So how many, I can see some of the medals behind you there in the video. How many races have you done?
Right up 400.
No. And now here's the thought. When did you start racing?
I started racing and did my first Spartan sprint as a 3-generation family in February of 2016, and I was 71 then.
Okay, so you started Spartan at 71.
Yes.
See, and that's why you said age is just a number. So
That is correct.
Because it's just a number. So you've done 400 of them. How has it been being able to do all those and to continue doing that? And how has that, I guess, kind of changed over the years?
Well, considering I left the couch or the bed, and I'd never run a mile in my life. Now, when I was younger, maybe into my early 30s, I played on volleyball leagues. I played on a softball league, and I rode a bike. It was nothing for me to ride 10 miles. But that all changed when I moved to Arizona. I needed to get out of Illinois. And so I rented a U-Haul with everything I had, packed it up, came to Tucson, never been here and didn't have a job. But I told the kids we're going to start over. And when I drove into town, it was, I love this place. So it was meant to be. So I really didn't do anything as far as activity or exercise. You know, I was working 3 jobs, and so there wasn't time.
Mm-hmm.
Then the kids all grew up. Now they're in their 40s and 50s, and I was kind of like an empty nest, and I had gone and I could babysit the kids. My son and his friends, called the Hopalong Gang, they did all these races. So I would sit there, I remember, at a Tough Mudder and think, and move along the course to the obstacles. And I think, well, shoot, I can crawl in mud under barbed wire. And, you know, there's some things like the monkey bars I can't do because of my hands. But there were so many things that I thought, well, I can do that. And so I told my son, I signed up for a Spartan sprint, and he was going, Mom, you don't run. And I said, well, I probably can't run, but I'll do a granny trot. So I thought I was really something before that first Spartan, because I could go out and walk and do a granny trot out there on the trails near my home. And so I do a half a mile and think, wow, I can do this. And he kept saying, you know, you need to train more. And I said, oh, okay. And eventually I got up to a mile, and then it was time for that first Spartan sprint. And I had a incredible, fun, energizing race. And until you can get out there on a race course and see the camaraderie with everyone, they help you with the obstacles. There's laughter, there's no negative, it's all positive, it's a family affair.
Mm-hmm.
And explaining that to other people is sometimes difficult, because it's a different lifestyle. You know, you can have 7,000 people at a race, and yet everybody's getting along. The kids are running around with their medals, and it's whether we're hurting and limping or whatever we're doing after a race, I just felt that energy. And so I would say, well, where's your next race? And they would tell me, so I'd go home and sign up for it. And that started, I think I did 8 races. I believe I did one or either the 5-mile or 10-mile Tough Mudder that year. And so, and then there was a lot of, how do I say this? There's a lot of obstacle course races that aren't as complicated or as hard as Spartan or Tough Mudder.
Mhm.
And so I did some of those. But that was basically my start.
And that's awesome. I mean, it's one of those things, and I mean, you usually hear like that where someone just sees someone else doing it, they're like, I want to try that. And what's great about Spartan and, obstacle course racing in general is no one cares about how old you are or anything like that. If you need help over that wall, all right, let's go. And that is, I love the camaraderie of it. Um, yeah, that's amazing. So you've been doing it for a couple of years, and then I know things have changed a little bit for you because I mean, I've been with you 2 weekends now in a row, or 2 weekends. One that didn't go as well as we wanted it to, but we're gonna fix that. And then one that was, for a lot of the listeners know, I've actually been kind of on my way out of OCR. I wasn't enjoying it as much anymore. I had lost that love of OCR. And I will tell you, the 2 weekends I've spent with you, that love is back. It,
Aw,
it
thank you.
re-energized to see you go for it, and the camaraderie that of everyone made me, reminded me of why I loved OCR. So I don't know, kind of tell the listeners what, I mean, the last year or so has been for you, and how we came to be for the races that we just did.
Do you want me to tell, or you want to tell it?
I mean, I want to hear from your words. I mean, because I know you've had some issues, some medical issues and everything that made it a little more difficult, and that you had some goals. And because of those medical issues, those goals were not as, did not seem attainable.
Since I started at 71, I've had 10 surgeries, 3 on my back. I tore the meniscus in my knee, and so I had to have that replaced last December. But I still raced in February. But a total of 10 plus 2 cataract surgeries. So I want the listeners to know, people tell me I can't do what you do. My back hurts. I have arthritis. My knee hurts. And I want them to get off the couch and see how much better they feel, how much more they can move. And in a summary, all these surgeries that I had, I would get antsy. Maybe 3 or 4 days I was really good, did everything I was supposed to do, don't, do anything hard. And then I got antsy, but I also would be stiff. It was, okay, I don't want to stand anymore. I'm going to go lay down in my bed. And then, I'm going to take the dogs outside or go out and sit in my porch and enjoy. I have a beautiful view of the mountains here, and I'm next to federal land. So it gives me so much peace. But I realized it was difficult to go up and down the stairs on the porch, and how much stiffer I got. And even though my pain level has increased greatly the last 2 years, I realized I can't just give in to it. I cannot just say, oh, well, I can't do it anymore. That's just not me. And so I had a spinal cord implant put in, And that kept my pain on a scale of 1 to 10 to a 5 or 6. And so I was good. Everything was, a lot better. The pain was less. And so I said, okay. But the particularly this year has been really hard, and towards the end of last year. And I would imagine most people wouldn't still go out and try to get 7 or 6 trifectas. This year, my goal was 8. But the pain I was in at the end was beyond the 1 to 10 scale. It was 14. And I kept digging through it, but any medicine I would take just didn't help anymore. It was too intense. So I knew I didn't want to slow down this year. And yet when I get back to the hotel room or after the race, I was so sore. And sometimes I got a little teary-eyed, quite honestly, but it seems like I was blessed with a high pain tolerance. And for that, I am very, very thankful. What's going on now, and in fact, in 10 or 11 days, I'm going to have some really major back surgery. And that's really what's been causing this intense pain. The problem was in the last year or so that if I fell, the doctors told me that I could be paralyzed. And I said, oh, okay. And now this sounds dumb, but I kind of waved that off. It's always in the back of my mind. But I waved it off and said, you know what? I love my life. I love my lifestyle. Thank goodness Spartan and other obstacle course races are in my life. I'm sorry. It's really hard sometimes to talk about it, but from my thoracic, and it's expanded to 2 more vertebrae, from the last vertebrae in my thoracic down to the first one in, I think it's the sacrum or the tailbone area, that first one. My discs are all pushing out from my vertebrae to the left. And so the vertebrae on the right side are all touching. And therein lies where this pain's coming from. Plus, in the last year or so, the disc between L4 and L5, it's nothing. And those vertebrae look like a mush in there. They're just, what do I want to say? They're just deteriorating. Now I've got an artificial neck. I had that done a few years ago. My spine collapsed there, and I was determined and did exercises and said, okay. And I have full function of it right now. The other deals I've been dealing with, particularly this year, is my feet. The arthritis has gotten so bad I cannot put on a boot like I used to wear, the boots I wear to ride horses. And then the arthritis in my toes, I'm basically walking on the tips of my toes because my joints all bend up. So I knew in June, and this sounds crazy, but I wanted to do the ultra. And then World's Toughest Mudder came up. And then there's the Phoenix race. And I thought, oh, I'm still going to Florida in December. And so I put my surgery off. But I knew in the condition I was that I didn't need to do Sebring. And I do want to do a memorial run for a very good friend who passed away. His wish was, I want to do one more Spartan. And so we were a bunch of us were all going to go and do the spread here in Arizona. I don't know what it is, 18th and 19th, I think. So running, and my feet felt feeling like they were on fire. How did I do the Seattle trifecta weekend? I look back at it and think, oh, but the pain memories aren't there. I know I really struggled, with it. But I think if you're determined and you have this lifestyle that involves moving, because if I don't, then I can't move. I've
Yeah.
defied the odds of being at 55 or 60 with the doctor saying you're going to be in a wheelchair. Well, I've defied those odds. And I really do credit it with my love of, obstacle course racing.
It's amazing. That's awesome. So most people, I mean, just to say it honestly, most people would have given up, which to me is amazing that you're like, no, I'm doing this anyway, you know. Um, which to me is awesome. I mean, I love that. I love your drive and everything else. So the first time I got to meet you in person was the ultra, which, like we said, did not go as planned. Did not go as planned. That was a brutal race. Trying to get through a lot of that stuff with the chair and everything else. That was a brutal race. Um, yeah, but we're
Yeah,
gonna make up for it.
the ultra, and it's just that this was at the same location as it was last year.
Mhm.
And I did the beast. I don't remember if I did a trifecta weekend or not, but we didn't even touch 1 inch of that course from last year. This was just, if you ever looked at the map or somebody's watch that showed where they ran, it was just like a maze. It was crazy. And all
Mhm.
it was going over rocks, sliding down a 3-foot boulder to get down. It was, on an incline. And as soon as you got on top, you went back down, and then you curved around in the creek, and it was brutal. It really was.
Mhm.
um and I told you guys I was disappointed. Of course I had tears. But it is what it is. It's now we know.
Yeah, and I mean, we were disappointed too. We really wanted to get you that buckle. You know, like I said, we have a plan, right, to make up for it. We're gonna get it. It's just gonna be the spring of next year.
We
So,
are. And I really, I'm going to tell you, from deep inside, I'm embarrassed to some degree. Um, but I know that my body's done and I'm emotionally done with the pain. And I knew that I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, even though I walked most of it,
mhm.
which, in a sense, I'm pretty proud because that was
Oh,
a
I am too.
brutal course. But it is what it is. Those that know me, if they look at me, there's like, well, there's nothing wrong with her. Well, yeah, it probably, doesn't show. I think, if you look now, as we're doing this podcast, my right shoulder is way lower than my left. And this is because I have scoliosis and it's gotten worse. So that's complicating issues with my back, with where it comes down the thoracic. And to try to get something straight, or kind of what I call give me a new back here in 10 or 11 days. That's into it too. So there's everything's involved in the last probably 3 months now. Even today I tried painting some the porch, and I like now the pain's shooting down from my sciatic nerve all the way down to my ankle. But I don't look like this is all affecting. I don't want sympathy. um but it was very hard and probably hurt my pride to even say I need you guys to be there by me, and as a team to help me. And I knew enough that, it's pretty bad right now. And should I put off the surgery? Probably not. But, I'm kind of stubborn. So I wanted I said, well, let's do it November 20th. And I knew in June, but I just didn't want to give up. So my goal, do the Spartan weekend here in Arizona in February.
Yeah.
Will I be able to do it? Yes. Doctor's probably going to say, I don't know about that, but
What do they know?
I'm determined.
And that's what amazes me. I mean, you keep going, you have that determination. A lot of people, like we said, we assisted you on both, and we'll talk about WTM in a minute, but we assisted you on, the ultra and everything else. But I don't think people realize you weren't in the chair the whole time. You maybe, I mean, especially on the ultra, maybe I would say 50% of the time. I mean,
Oh,
with
it was
you,
over that. It was probably 75
yeah,
because there was just no way you guys could get me up those rocks on the
there's a lot of
incline.
rocks.
Yeah, and it was at the point where somebody kind of grabbed my shirt and said, "Come on, we'll help you." And it was inclines are very painful for me. That's my downfall. But
Hmm.
you guys were there, but I just had to swallow some pride for that and for the world's toughest mudder this last weekend.
Yeah. So I mean that was the ultra, and like we said, there we didn't quite finish that one, but we're gonna get that one next. And then there was World's Toughest, and this was my first time. I've never been to World's Toughest. I had never gone. I was supposed to do it. I mean, I don't know if you saw. I had the picture on the front of
Yes.
my. That was a really good friend of mine who actually used to be another host on this show. She was a host on this show, the Canadian host on this show. She was an amazing person. Me and her were supposed to do World's Toughest in 2020. But then we all know what happened in 2020. Everything got shut down. And then unfortunately, she passed away earlier this year. So that's kind of was my, I was helping you, but at the same time, I made sure charity was with me for the whole time. So it was a very emotional race for me for multiple reasons. But
Well, and it was for me because my son's done several in his friends World's Toughest Mudder, and Tim Leary, was always on the pit crew. One year he won it. I don't know the amount of miles, but he did 2 or 3 5-mile laps. And for him to, pass away, even though he was in so much pain from the cancer and everything. But, at night, we were on top of that one hill and I looked up and there was that one bright star. If you remember, we were looking
mhm.
at the stars and, I knew he was up there, so it's really hard, but I think Tim was there from up above.
Yeah. And I think the same with charity. And I mean, that's one of the things I think why sometimes these races mean so much to us. We've gained so much extra family, but every once in a while we lose some. And then we go out there, and for me, this was a remembrance. I never wanted to do a Tough Mudder, and Charity was the first person to talk me into it because I don't like electric shock at all. So I didn't want to do it. And she finally talked me into it. So it's just kind of, we had this whole history with Tough Mudder. And I finally got to do World's Toughest, unfortunately, without her. But I mean, I had her with me the whole time. And like you said, I mean, I when we were looking up at the stars, I had the same feeling that Charity was up there looking down on me, and it was an amazing feeling. But
Yeah.
it was very emotional race. And I mean, like I said, it was so great to be there and to be there with you. So what was your, I mean, tell everyone about World's Toughest from your point of view.
Well, I never thought I could do it actually. I would stay up most of the night, following the live feed to know where my son, or I'd look up everybody I knew was racing or doing it and to see where they were. But I just never thought that in my 70s I could do it. It was a race that, I was so proud of my son and being on the wall of fame, several times. So I just put that thought away until this summer. And, I got that email and said, we want you to do World's Toughest. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, okay, I'm doing World's Toughest. And then I got with Joey, and I had talked to Dan McDonald, and I said, I'm going to need help, because 2 weeks after that is my surgery. And it's been deteriorating. I know it. But anyway, so I said, okay. So I knew stuff that my son had taken. And so I went and got the big box and cleaned up the dry robe, sleeping bags, sleeping mats, everything that you take. So the long and the short was, I didn't get really nervous because I kind of understood what was involved in the pit crew and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey said, well, we'll have a tent for you. And then I've got a team lined up for, with More Hearts and Scars to go with you. So I did it. I mean, I kind of went into it not blind, but not really knowing the full effects until you got on that course. So this summer, I said, well, I'm going to do 15 miles. I want to get 15 miles. And then Joey and I were chatting, I don't know, sometime later in the summer or September. And I said, well, here's my dream. I want 15 miles. That's 3 5-mile laps. And then I said, but my dream would really be doing 25 miles, going out on the 5-mile laps, 5 times and 5 times.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I said that would be my dream. Well, we did that, and it was like 1 o'clock or so in the morning when we completed the 25 miles, and I got my vest. And at that point, and you guys were dragging, everybody was sore, limping, leg spasms. I mean, and out on the course, you saw so many people limping or walking or, in some cases laying down, because you're just going from one mud obstacle to the other obstacle. And then what happens is everybody's so wet from all the mud and everything that it starts to drop. So all the dry places on the first lap or second lap have now just extended beyond that obstacle, and the whole course ended up Sunday morning with being muddy, and the rocks were very slick. And so, well, the 25 miles got to me, the bib, but I said to Joey, do you think we could do one more lap? And I'm gonna tear up here. And so I can wear my 25-mile bib. And he said yes. So, we were all tired and sore, but I thank More Hearts and Scars so much, for doing it with me, getting me up those obstacles and everything. And at one point, I've always wanted to inspire people to get them off the couch. And I felt they need to know what More Hearts and Scars is. And with my hiking sticks, because that takes the pressure of all my weight off of my back, we crossed the finish line. And I don't know what lap it was, maybe 15 or 3 or 4. And every lap when we get there, you go across the finish line, walk a ways, start again under the start arch, and you go out and do your other 5 mile laps. But I said, Dan, all I want to do is inspire people. And he said, Marla, don't you see before the finish line, all the way past the start line? I didn't look up because I was looking on the ground where I was going. But he, there were people there that were lined up shoulder to shoulder and just completely cheering us on as soon as they saw us come around that one corner heading to the finish line. And I think what I'm proudest about is that I don't even know if they knew who I was, quite honestly. I mean, nothing was ever said, but I was hoping that they would understand what More Hearts Than Scars actually does when they take an adaptive athlete out there. So I'm hoping all the video cameras that were running all along there, that it really shows up what More Hearts Than Scars did, because there was no way I could have done. I probably could have done 15 miles, but not the 30 miles that we did.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it was amazing. And what a lot of people don't know too is, like we said, you walked a bit. You walked. And then there's also, I mean, you still did the obstacles. There was a couple that, because of, your medical conditions, we couldn't do, but we had those conversations beforehand. And most of the obstacles, if you couldn't do them, usually one of us from the team went and did it.
Right.
So we still had at least someone from the team doing it. But I mean, you did a lot of them yourself. I mean, you went up and over Matterhorn.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, I mean, you did a bunch of them. So I mean, you did amazing. But I mean, we had an amazing team with us too. I mean, everyone
Yes,
did great. And Michelle and Savannah in the, as our helpers, or the pit crew, were amazing.
well,
And then
they had stuff ready for us when we, after a lap, I had put down, I want hot tea, like after lap 3 or something like that. And then when we broke there, right as what was it? We broke right before dark or at dusk to all kind of really go on and eat, but they had stuff ready for us,
yeah.
They're in the tents for the pit crew. And we couldn't have had a better pit crew than Michelle and Savannah.
No, they did amazing. And then, I mean, the team that we had with us too, I mean, Henry was a horse the whole time. He just kept going. And, I mean, and then Dan, of course, Dan McDonald, he's the one who puts all this together and does so good. Tim, the crazy old man. But, Michael, and then, Amanda was amazing. Jonathan was amazing.
Yes.
So, and then you had
the spirit of it, is what I'm hoping touched everyone that was there. I don't need the attention that much, but More Hearts Than Scars really, really does deserve a lot of attention. And I hope people look up online who they are and what they do. Because all of you are incredible, and I've seen you with adaptive athletes at Spartan races, so I was familiar with that. But I didn't expect it to be such a team thing that without speaking, I started to get out of the wheelchair. Somebody would go over by the Dublin Wall or something, or Matterhorn, where I had to, have help up the woodside. But it just flowed so smoothly. And I hope that other people, whatever their disability is, whether it's autism or spina bifida, they can do these races and get a recharge of, looking back at something that they've done that is so memorable. I mean, the cheers out there on the course, somebody saying, "Oh, you guys inspire me. Good job." I mean, nobody, if they've never done a race, they don't understand, what the quote unquote family is.
No, and like I said, these two races really reminded me. And I mean, I don't know if you can tell the picture behind me, but
I have to put my glasses.
Oh, that is because
Oh,
I usually had the flag, so I was a little bit behind the group and yelling, telling racers which side to go to. And as the sun was setting, I saw this and I'm like, I need a picture of that. So
oh,
I got a
you,
picture and
oh,
that was us helping you. So that was as the sun was setting on Saturday night.
that one and the other favorite picture is either is it wasn't the 30 30 mile, maybe the 25, where we were all coming across the finish line and it made the highlight reel at the awards luncheon
Hmm.
Monday. But it had us all coming across there, and Henry has his, fist up in the air, but yeah, it meant a lot to do that. So,
Yeah. I mean, it was for me, and I'll be honest, the ultra was the first time I ran with the team. So
uh,
it was very nice for me to finally see. And like you said, I wasn't aware of how well, I mean, once we all get in there, we all just kind of you figure out where to go really quick. What your role is. And for us, it's all about you. It's all about the athlete. We're there for you. And that was the one thing, like for me, I mean, when people are talking about um being there for you and everyone's like, oh, what do you do when she's not running? We don't run. We're there. We're only on course. We're there for Marla. And for me, that was it. I was the whole race. I was there for you. And that was it. I mean, and that's what more heart than scars. And like I said, it was really amazing to see an entire team that was the attitude.
it was, and no words were spoken, but there were still the smiles, the happy look,
Hmm.
but everybody just fell into place. If I needed an extra push to get over a wall, Henry was the tallest one, so
Hmm.
he always helped. But it was moments like that where you don't have to say, can somebody help me, push me over this wall? It was just an unknown thing. It was an automatic, you didn't have to say that. And I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah. And, if you want to do more races anytime you want, I'm sure, we'll be there for you anytime. I mean, that's one thing I'm happy about. I moved to Texas. I live in Houston now, so I can get to the East Coast a lot easier than I could from Seattle. So, and that's one of the things I wanted to do was spend more time helping with the team and stuff like that, because that's why I started racing to begin with. I love the family. I love being out there with my friends and the look and the joy on your face when we cross for that 25 miles and you got the bib. It was amazing.
It
And
was a little teary eyed.
I mean, I'm getting teary eyed just remembering it because, I mean, the look on your face and just how the joy of you getting that when you never thought you would. And that, I mean, that's my purpose now. I want to see that look and help people get that look.
Well, always remember all those cheers. I mean, every time,
Hmm.
and I don't know how long a distance it was, but it was quite a ways, they'd see the team and the cheers, for what you guys do. And I think, that goal, I hope, will become very frequent in the future and have more teams and more adaptive athletes out there, because to say no, you're giving up something so wonderful that you don't even know about, but it's the atmosphere
It
and to
is.
hear the cheering. And I hope the publicity about more hearts and scars, goes on. And whether someone has autism, or I've raced a couple 3 times with people that, and once was at the World Championship, Spartan World Championship in Tahoe. I did that World Championship race 3 times. But there was a young man, and we're coming down off that first mountain, and he had spina bifida, and he had braces on his shoes, and he had his crutches, and they were killing him. But he wasn't going to give up. We'd already been the top. So,
Mhm.
and then some people were a little impatient behind and they wanted to go around. And I said, hey guys, you've got, a handicapped person right there that is doing far more work than we are. If you can wait just a couple minutes till we get through this. And it was a very narrow trail through some boulders. And so you really couldn't go anywhere else but that. But I was so proud of him. I was so proud of the young lady at 14, with autism to do the race with me. But people just have to know, you know, maybe they're going slow, but you don't know what's underneath that. Why are they going slow? There's many disabilities
Mhm.
that aren't recognizable in somebody, unless they're really doing a pity me thing. But give him credit. He was out there, so he slowed you down for a little bit. It wasn't that long.
No.
And I'm hoping that this weekend proved and inspired, other people to get out there, and adaptive athletes, you're welcomed with open arms. And I really hope that the publicity of More Hearts and Scars continues to, widen, because this group needs so much recognition for what they do.
No. I agree. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what they do. And I mean, there was a lot of people that I saw them coming up to you. They came up to us just talking about how inspired they were. I know there was one lady who came up and said that I don't know if it was her sister or somebody that was with them was in a wheelchair, and they're like, I never thought I could do this, but now watching you, I know I can. And that's amazing to me. Where someone's like, I never thought this was possible, and then they see you out there, and they're like, oh no, it is. It is possible. They just have to talk to the right people.
Yeah, a disability shouldn't handicap you from enjoying or accomplishing things that you never knew you could do. But with a team like More Hearts and Scars, they can do it. And I'm hoping that we inspired a lot of people there, not, I don't know if the word spread or what we did, but I'm really hoping that
I'm
it.
hoping to. Yeah, and like I said, I know a lot of people, I think, and that was one reason why I wanted to bring you on and talk to you. I mean, I think a lot of people know about More Heart Than Scars, but I don't know if they know exactly what, More Heart Than Scars is all about. And I was hoping that, having you on here and I mean, talking about what it really is and what it does. And I mean, it's anybody who wants to go out and do it. And I mean, it's those invisible scars, like you mentioned, whether it be scars just aren't seen, or mental scars, physical scars, whatever they are. I mean, we're here. I mean, More Heart Than Scars, BeastNet, all of us are here to help whoever needs it.
Well, and you consider the strong, and we're off Tough Mudder, but the military presence and the basis for Spartan, and the number of disabled veterans that go out and
Hmm.
do these races, and the invisible ones with PTSD or, suicide. This is this the whole obstacle racing world. If somebody is going down and they see someone post, maybe PTSD is taking them down, a deep hole. Everybody, even if and when they live in the same state, uh, go, hey, buddy, I'm only 2 hours away. I'll come help. And that's what this worldwide family does
Hmm.
in Scars and in a Spartan. And I think that's what keeps me going. It's fun, it's caring, it's positive. The only place there is, all over the world when these races occur, and getting up now, Spartan's hitting 7,000 plus at a race weekend. I think it's so awesome that many people are going for this lifestyle and just keeping going. I am so grateful that I had this crazy idea to do one Spartan and it was going to be one and done. And of course, we all laugh and say,
Mhm.
well, we're one and done because you have so much fun. There's people to help you if you're not a competitor for money or for podium. But there's so many people out there that will help you, strangers. It doesn't matter if you know them, say please, and then when they're done, say thank you. And it's an automatic thing, and you feel so welcomed, and you're never alone. And
Yeah,
I think people need to realize that, and
and they
and
do
I'm
it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I am embarrassed, that I had to go to it, but physically, and with the pain level, just that little painting I did today, now my pain level's way up there. So, I've cut some races out, but that's okay.
That's
Didn't
okay.
go to, I didn't go to Trifecta weekend in California. Instead, I went to World's Toughest Mudder. So
Hmm.
I'll
Well,
get more trifectas next year.
there's a good one. We're gonna get an ultra factor next year, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing too. So we're gonna do everything we can to make, help you and assist you in any way we can. Like you said, it's an amazing community. That's one thing that some people know, like my training partner I have here in, where I live in Houston now, we randomly met on an ultra 2 years ago. And I lived in Seattle, she lived in Houston, and randomly met. And now all of a sudden I live down here close to her, and me and her, that's my training partner. So it's just kind of you never know who you're going to meet out there. So
Well, I want to shout out to Dan McDonald, for one. His title at Spartan is incredible. I don't know how he does it. I know he's working 12 plus 14 hours a day. And so hats off to him for taking the time to join More Hearts and Scars
mhm.
and do this. But I also want to give a shout out to Joy uh, Montgomery, because he's the one that organizes all of this. If somebody wants
Yes.
to race, we need a team. He may, this weekend, somebody was doing an ultra. There was a group that went over to Greece to do the World Championship trifecta
Hmm.
weekend. And I think there was a beast. Okay, me, and then they went to Greece. And I want everyone to know that More Hearts and Scars is a nonprofit group. These people that go out with the adaptive athletes, they don't get paid. They volunteer their time. The expense to get to and from the race is on them. And so a big kudos to this organization and the volunteers, that including you, that go out and give their time. It needs to be respected and acknowledged, and I'm hoping this past weekend that it will help, get attention for a group of people who don't get paid to do what they do.
Yeah. Well, we get paid. We get paid and seeing the joy that we get from watching you guys who normally wouldn't be able to do this to do it. And I'll be honest, that was enough payment for me just to see, like I said, when you got that 25-mile bib was amazing to me, because it was one of those things when we were first talking, it was going to be, you were going to get the 25 in the morning when we did the victory. There was going to be the victory lap. And
Right.
then as the night progressed, we just kept going. And then it's like, well, why don't we just get the 25 miles tonight, and then we'll do a victory lap in the morning. So what you started with saying you wanted 15, we got you 30. So
Exactly. Well, it was a little selfish, but for me, oh my gosh, um, emotionally, to be able to go from 15 miles to 25 maybe and then 30, I guess emotionally needed, I wanted to wear that bib one last 5 mile lap to say, hey, we did this. And you know eh, maybe it was for me too, but we all did it. I mean, most of us, what do we get even lay down, what, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're back up at 6. So, it meant a lot, you know. And I'm sorry I couldn't have walked more at night, but it got
Oh,
so slick,
it was so slick. Yeah, no.
and with my eye disease, I couldn't, my left eye was completely blurry, so I couldn't really see. And I apologized to Joey. I said I wanted to walk more, but I knew for safety that,
Yeah.
I shouldn't do it. But I wish I could.
It's like you said, once we got after like the second or third lap, so many people coming out of the water and dripping. It was the whole course, the whole 5 miles was wet. And once it got dark and you couldn't see, that was one of our concerns too, is it was so muddy and so slick. And yeah, we're like, no. We don't
Oh,
want you to fall.
you know, who was it? Jason? Somebody said they went over into the bushes once and there was these green eyes. Other people said there was a deer, and then somebody said they also saw a turkey out there after dark. So now we know. Now we've solved that puzzle of what kind of animal was it. So
Wow. Yeah, I saw a deer earlier in the day, but I didn't see one at night. So, but
well, I
all right.
believe that he saw 2 green eyes. So okay.
Okay. It was the aliens. They hang out there. Lizard people. Who knows? I mean, it is Texas. You never know what's out there. So, well, Marla, thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to say to the listeners before we go?
Just don't ever say I could never do that. There's so many possibilities out there. And I think my doctors tell me all the time, you heal so fast, you're so healthy. And I truly am. It's just my body's falling apart. But don't let that stop you. You might feel better. And I'm a firm believer that staying active like this and walking's good for you, no matter how far. But just get off the couch and enjoy the outside, the fresh air, and feel blessed that you've been able to get up one more day and just enjoy life. Don't let pain or discomfort stop you from doing something, because if you don't try it, you never know if you could or you can't. So that's the biggest thing for me, is people saying, oh, I can't do that. Well, you don't know until you try. So
all right. Well, thank you, Marla, for coming on here, and I can't wait to see you again and do another race.
Well, it will be this one's probably going to make me less agile, so to speak, to fix everything. But I have complete faith, and if I'm more limited in my agility, then okay, just the way it is.
It's just another obstacle to overcome.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you, Marla, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you for having.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.